So Khamzat Chimaev gets the job done at UFC 294, defeating Kamaru Usman in a tightly fought battle. It looked like Khamzat Chimaev was going to dominate the whole fight or even get a finish in that first round. He got an early takedown and took the back of Kamaru Usman. He was raining down strikes that weren't too hard, but he was raining down strikes, and he was looking for a choke at the same time, but he couldn't find it. Kamaru Usman weathered the storm, and then the fight completely changed in the second round. Both fighters were very tentative. Kamaru Usman being the better of the two fighters towards the latter stages of the second round. Chimaev looked like he had gassed out a little bit, he was saving energy, and Usman took advantage of that. He took advantage of that by peppering him with strikes at the end of the round. He was pushing forward a little bit more aggressive than Chimaev. He started to land his own 1-2s, he started to push Chimaev back. Then in the third round, I feel like Khamzat Chimaev was throwing takedowns from way too far. There was a massive distance between him and Usman, but he was still trying to throw takedowns and get takedowns because that's the type of fighter he is. And this allowed Usman to read it a little bit more, read the situation and read the takedowns, and he was able to stuff a few of them. And Usman and Chimaev decided to throw it down at the end of the third round, both of them putting it all on the line. It was a great fight, and the third round could have been scored either way. It definitely wasn't a landslide victory for Chimaev. He scraped by Usman, and I think Usman proved to all of us that he can hang with the best. He did really well in that fight. Could have been scored a draw. Looking back at the fight, they gave it to Chimaev. It's definitely not a robbery, guys. It's not a robbery, but it was a close fight. That first round really had me thinking that Kamaru Usman was going to get ragdolled or finished in the first round, but that didn't happen. He pushed through, and we saw that level of professionalism and that experience from Usman to remain calm in such a bad situation. In fights like this where someone is getting ragdolled, they usually panic, and when panic sets in, a fighter is very susceptible to losing. But Kamaru Usman, to be fair to him, stayed really calm, and you could see that he's been in the octagon many times, stayed calm, weathered the storm, and kept trying to fight. When we saw Kamaru Usman really push Chimaev backwards in that second round, we also saw him be very successful with his 1-2s and his striking, which is a worrying sign for Chimaev fans, I believe. And I'm going to talk about the other few things that I think we really saw here, which are worrying signs for Chimaev fans. Number one is his gas tank. Now, he is known by his trainers and all the people that have fought with him to have a good gas tank. People say he has a good gas tank, he works hard, but in this fight and in the Gilbert Burns fight, we saw a fighter who after round one really starts to slow down. In this fight, he started to slow down and allow Usman to get back into the fight and allow the decision victory that he got to be a close one. It was because he slowed down. To beat Khamzat Chimaev is not simple, but there's a simple way of doing it. Let me explain. So we can clearly see here that if you survive that first round, that onslaught in the first round, you have a higher chance as the fight goes on to win the fight, right? And this is the worrying sign. If he does fight Sean Strickland, who is known to have a really good gas tank, is he going to gas out towards the end of that fight, which is 5 rounds, and will Sean Strickland start to take advantage of this? This is the only worrying thing for me as a Khamzat Chimaev fan, and I have to say I do think that Sean Strickland possesses the capabilities to survive that onslaught in the first round. So I do feel like Sean Strickland, when these two do fight, has a higher chance than people think. I feel like his coaches really need to take a hard look at how he fights and maybe tell him or teach him or work on with him not going 100% at the start of the fight. 100% at the start of the fight doesn't benefit you if you don't get the finish, and that is risky. The higher caliber opponents that you fight, the harder it is going to be to get that finish in the first round. If he wants to be a champion in the UFC, he's really going to have to learn when to put the gas on and when to slow down. And I think that's one lesson that he still needs to learn in order to become a champion, because people like Sean Strickland, who are clever, who are good fighters, will survive the first onslaught and then just pour it on you in those second, third, fourth and fifth rounds. And Sean Strickland has got a gas tank, so that's the one worry for me here, is that if he lets it all out, he might struggle against Sean Strickland. So after the fight, we had both fighters showing immense respect to each other, as they should have, by the way, because Kamaru Usman took it on short notice. They both had a really good fight. I don't think anyone has gone down in terms of stock here. I think both fighters are still high stock. I think Kamaru Usman really proved that he can still hang with the rest of them, the rest of the good fighters, I'm saying, and that Kamaru Usman with a full training camp is a feared opponent for anyone. But what we heard afterwards from Chimaev wasn't the usual, I'm gonna kill everybody, kill everybody. You know, it was a very humble and beautiful moment when he was talking on the mic afterwards, and I really admired what he was saying and the way he said it. So I props to Chimaev. We saw another side of him, which is lovely to see. We are seeing him grow as a person and as a fighter. I think if he just sorts out when he should use his gas tank and when not to, I think he'll be a very feared opponent, because his takedowns are unbelievable. He pursues takedowns relentlessly, and that is one of the best things about him. I'm not saying to change his fight style completely, but I would like to see him refine his style a little bit to make him championship quality. You know what I'm trying to say? And every fighter has to change their style a little bit to become a champion, and you know, you learn as you go on, and I think he will, hopefully, and it will be interesting. But guys, when he does fight Sean Strickland, don't write Sean Strickland out. That's all I'm saying. Sean Strickland has an amazing gas tank, better than Chimaev's, and people are probably going to write Sean Strickland off. I wouldn't do that at all. I wouldn't do that at all. But I really enjoyed the fight. I thought the two fighters in this fight really showed that they are championship quality, and I thought it was a brilliant fight and great respect at the end. And I have respect for Chimaev for what he was saying, so it was nice to see that side of him. But what did you think of the fight? Did you enjoy it? Do you think Chimaev should have lost the fight? Do you think it was a draw? I've watched the fight back, and it could have been scored a draw. I'm not calling it a robbery though. It was a tight fight. So like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and leave a comment. It would be much appreciated. Thank you.